Hello and welcome back to Fierce Entertainment for a return to The Conjuring 2. I mentioned last year this is my favorite of the Conjuring universe, and this was made in 2016. I did mention this is my favorite one in the entire universe. I still stand by that. After watching all of the other 6 movies that took place before this film, I still think this is the best one out of all of them. I still do. Again, based on real life events, which is a little way better than what we had the last movie that takes place before this one, which is The Curse of La Llorona, which is based on a mythology, but nothing actually real events. Well, I don't have to tell you about the movie. I already reviewed it. So let's take some time talking about quality and stuff like that, and just overall opinion. I think what makes The Conjuring 2 so great is there's 2 things really I think makes it so wonderful. The first thing that makes it so wonderful is that it takes what you loved about the first Conjuring movie and the involvement of Ed and Lorraine Warren in the other films and just expands on it astronomically, making it much, much bigger and much more thrilling. I think that's one of the things I really love about this movie is that's expanded on it. I mean, literally one of the best horror films of all time is The Conjuring, and they actually made a better movie than The Conjuring. I mean, you can't really do that most of the time. I mean, it's so amazing how sometimes these filmmakers can do that. It doesn't happen often. And of course, the other one that's really cool with me, and this is something that was slightly looked at in the other movies, slightly, not dramatically, but slightly, is that at the heart of the Ed and Lorraine characters is a very big love story. And I'm a sucker for love stories in these type of movies. I think that you feel much more for the characters when they have a romance thing going on in the movie for all this chaos. This is part of the reason why I like Fright Night over Lost Boys, or so on. The reason why there's so many horror films out there I really do like is I think the stakes can get really high when you add an element of a love story within this horror story. And there's definitely a lot of that in this. And I love how it plays off of stuff. I mean, I love how Ed and Lorraine play off of each other with that. Of course, with the... Now, like I said, if you guys want to see what the plot of the movie is about and all that stuff, just watch the review I did last year. You can hear me clearly on that one. The camera angle's fine on that one. So you don't need to re-talk about the plot of the movie. I'm not only be doing it in quick subtext either. There's really no reason. But I will expand on what I mean by a cool love story within the film. Basically, you kind of see how it kind of begins with the mention of, the nun, and we kind of know now where all this is kind of leading up to. Lorraine had a traumatic experience, and it really disturbed her, and it made her hard to go ahead and do anything. And Ed's very protective, doesn't want her to do this stuff anymore because of it. It was too traumatic for him. It scared him. And of course, in the movie, she has a vision of Ed being impaled and dying, and she is overprotective of him. And towards the end of the film, we actually see the climax of that. I mean, literally, it starts actually happening. Everything that would eventually lead up to our main character being impaled and killed. And the drama of all of that and how it plays off of each other. It's just so dramatic and so real and emotional. And it's just, it all comes together so well. And of course, the third thing about this movie is this is something that doesn't happen often, and this is something that George Lucas and company and Disney really should pay attention to, is how this franchise does it. None of these films were made in order. None of them. All right, none of them were made in order. They're all completely out of order. They're all juggled up and they're all shuffled up like a bunch of cards that were in order, and now they're all shuffled up and they're all over the place. That's the way these films were released. But The Conjuring 2 actually, when you watch it in chronological order, that's the order of event instead of order of release, ties into every single movie in the franchise except for The Curse of La Llorona. The Curse of La Llorona it does not tie into, but it doesn't need to. That was literally was a spin-off movie. It has no bearing at all on the main Conjuring films at all. Except for, of course, the character of Father Perez. That's the only thing that links him to that movie. But this references all these other movies. It also introduces us to some characters that we'll be seeing in the future, like, for example, the Nun. Introduces us to the Nun, although this is actually, in a lot of ways, this is kind of the conclusion of what is called the Nun trilogy, because obviously, if you watch these movies, you kind of know what they're going to do with this next movie. You had the Nun, then of course the Nun Part 2 will take place, showing the story of Frenchie and how he was possessed, and eventually how Ed and Lorraine Warren exorcise him and all this stuff, and he kills himself. That will be the second Nun movie. So this right here is kind of the Nun 3 in that regard. It also links itself to the Amityville Horror, because this takes place right after the controversy of the Amityville Horror, which Ed and Lorraine Warren brought closure to, investigating it in real life. And I just really like how it ties into all these other things. It just shows how big this universe really is. It introduces us, of course, to the next big boogeyman villain that the Conjuring universe is going to make a spin-off movie of, which people don't really know much about, which, of course, is the Crooked Man. I can say this film is just my favorite one out of all of these. The emotion's so good, the acting is so good. The flow of the movie is perfect. I mean, this is just a perfect movie in a lot of ways. This is the best one out of them so far, for sure. Well, what was it like watching this movie theatrically? Well, I can say it was a lot better than watching it last year. I did not have a Dolby Atmos sound system last year. I do now. The Dolby Atmos track on this movie did not disappoint at all. This is the way Dolby Atmos track is supposed to be. It is very, very good indeed. Very good Dolby Atmos track. Give me a second here. And I just love how well the Dolby Atmos track really works in terms of bringing out overheads, fronts, center, all of that. It's just really, really good. That's something that's not really done right most of the time. Is there's really most of the time there's really no such thing is perfect Dolby Atmos tracks when it comes to movies most of the time. Most of the time they're nowhere near it. This one is really, really good. I mean, the way I have Atmos and DTS:X on my system is all in front of me. So I don't have 5.1.2, I have 3.1.2. That's all you really need with the new technologies. I mean, that was made possible with physical speakers. I actually physically have Wi-Fi speakers due to newer technology. People don't understand that. Technology is always evolving. It's getting more compact, or they're bettering the technology or anything like that. And that's why you can't pick on technologies. But I won't get into political stuff, as I know I lost a subscriber because I said something that, I apologize for, but still, I thought it was pretty important to say it. If you guys want to know what I was talking about with that, just watch the 2019's review for Child's Play, you understand. But what I said, I stand behind. As it is true. But technology in general, it advances. It's this compact version of it really allowed me to experience the Dolby Atmos track on this movie quite well. I mean, there was a lot of going on in this movie. Even things that were going on in the film. Our favorite dog, that likes to make cameos in these videos, he thought it was real. He actually thought there was really stuff going on outside. And that's kind of what Atmos is supposed to do. So this Dolby Atmos track really did not disappoint me at all. Yeah, I had to take a little time just for that track alone because it's just that good. The big screen experience for The Conjuring 2. Wow. It is a really big experience watching it on a 100-inch projection screen. It is just adds to the greatness of this movie watching it theatrically. So yeah, like I said, if you guys want to experience my experience with this franchise, returning to it, and of course give my views and opinions for the first time on 3 installments that I had never reviewed up till the point I reviewed them during this event. Get a projector screen, get a projector. You can go cheap, you can go neutral budgeted, just get one. It really does add to the experience of watching a movie. And all I can say is this was a much pleasure doing. Now, of course, the next event, I was going to do the Happy Death Day films because I did watch those, but I'll be honest with you, I think I should wait until next year to review those because there's a lot of stuff going on about how next year's going to really be about picking on horror movies. And so I should start picking on horror movies in 2020. So, next year with those. So what will be the next event is actually going to be the Masters of Horror event, which I have already sunk my teeth deep into. But all these films are pretty fresh in my mind, and I will be getting through them pretty quickly. We are on the clock, obviously. We only have a few days left to get all this done, but I can get it done. My goal is to have it done by the 31st, so that's the goal. So I will see you guys next time for the Masters of Horror event, which I will be starting with 1979 Salem's Lot. Until then, I hope you have enjoyed this event so far, as much as I have.